cannot believe this is month number 4 with this Bolt EUV. Looks like we're about 3,000 miles, which means I barely use the car. So for us, mostly staying at home, this car has been, for the most part, just taken on a few longer trips, and then in-town stuff, grocery store, in this case, going to work. But that's not very frequent. So what would I say about month number 4? I love all the little extra stuff. This is a Premiere, so it's got all the extra tech. So like the auto windshield wipers, I didn't do anything. I just got in the car and it automatically did the front windshield, the back windshield. I haven't had to touch any of the dials. All of that stuff is like fantastic. And I may have mentioned this before, but when you hit the squirters, and it also squirts the camera in the back for backing up, is a feature that I didn't know I needed, but now that I've had it, it's like backup cameras. It's like one of those things that once you have it, it's like, oh my goodness, how do I live without that? So super handy. Other than that, it really comes down to the charging. There's probably 700 videos on charging, so why don't I start by saying why I thought I was going to be different. And it really comes down to, you know, I believed the marketing a bit, and I really thought that 55 seemed like a decent charging speed. But 4 months in, I have never hit 55 ever in charging. So a few long trips, I may have mentioned before, going to Chicago when it was really cold, just watching the numbers go down faster than, and you know, knowing I would have to charge before I even got to Chicago was very frustrating. And then since there's no preconditioning, I didn't really know what that meant when I bought this car. So the fact that it couldn't warm up the battery pack or cool down the battery pack, those type of things, have a bigger impact, I think, than most people, or at least than I, realized when I bought this car. So I want to say that believing the marketing of I could regain, you know, somewhere in the neighborhood of 75 to 100 miles of range in a half an hour, or I don't know exactly the way they word it now in the marketing, but I've never came close to that. And of course, with only 3,000 miles, you're probably saying I'm probably not a good candidate, but I've had at least 3 trips where I've had to fast charge, where I sat at one was probably decremented or decreased because of the unit, but I still think a lot of times when they say speed is decreased, they are still easily able to pull an EA. In this example, they should be still be able to pull 50 in a 150. I mean, that's a third of the rate of the charger. So along with my complaints on that is it seems to be the charging speed is also impacted by you using the heat and cooling when you're at the charger. So if it was able to pump 55 into the battery and get, let's say 60 or whatever, you know, and just that extra 5 from the charging station, then, you know, I'd be able to heat and cool the vehicle and use all the electronics without impacting this charging speed. But just assume, even if you could get that 55, which I've never gotten, you know, you're gonna burn, you know, 2 or 3 if you're running the heat and air. So it turns out that that's a lot bigger of an impact. than I anticipated. So those are my only complaints. This car, my only complaints are revolving around that, and it'd be nice if the middle console was just a little bit farther forward. I know you'd lose this cup holder, but for me, my arm positioning and where I sit in the vehicle, it's just a little short. Other than that, those are my only complaints. Super Cruise, which is about what we're gonna do right now. I don't think I have a lot of complaints around Super Cruise. It'd be nice if it worked more. My biggest complaint on Super Cruise, which I've said this before, is their update schedule is either a mystery, or it doesn't happen very often, or I don't know what. But I'm coming on the interstate right now, perfect example, and it's gonna work great. I come out here into one of the lanes, even though it's raining, there's semis all around. I hit it and it works. First try, I can adjust the speed up and down, the car will automatically slow down. All of those things are awesome. I know, because I've done this route plenty of times, that I cannot get in this other lane, because if I do that, it gets confused with this exit here to 155. But I also know that the next exit is on the left, and for some reason, whatever it is, interstate exits on the left, or at least where they're mapped here in Illinois, never work. It always just bails, and we'll see that in about a mile. So now that I've passed this, I can turn over, and again, I know this doesn't have the lane changes, so I don't expect it to change lanes, but as soon as I change the lane, it picks it up, and all of that is always seamless. I really, really, really like this system, so I hate saying bad things about it, because it's great. This car would be a road tripper if it just charged faster. So, so here I will not bore you, but you can see the lanes coming in, but because of this exit, it just never knows what to do. So if I was a developer, which I am, or at least technical enough to say, if I'm in this lane, it clearly goes straight. If I'm in that lane, it doesn't know which direction to go, then I totally understand that it kind of doesn't know what to do. I would still argue it should assume one or the other, or I don't know, tell you, or whatever makes sense. See, there you go. Take control right there. So it bails that early. Don't know why. So I gotta keep going, which is fine. Not a big deal. And then I gotta wait. And it does try to maintain the speed and stuff, but I gotta wait for it to say that it can do Super Cruise again. There it goes. Hit the button. There. Back. So, I mean, I guess that's not really that much to complain about. I just wish that I knew when the next update was coming. Quarterly, monthly, can I get in a beta, like any of those things. So, alright, well, like I said, that's my only complaint after 4 months. I love the car. I put the hitch on it. I haven't installed any wiring yet. I know it's